Welcome to Army-Navy Football 2009. On behalf of the Class of 1972 United States Naval Academy 27th Company, we want to welcome you to our fourth Cost of Freedom weekend. It's a weekend of fun, learning, and growing. It's a weekend of family, friends, classmates, honored guests, all under one roof, just one big family.
It all started when I saw two planes hit the World Trade Center, and I said to myself, I'm not going to let that happen. I said the military is the way to go to prevent that from happening.
Part of that for him was maybe 9/11. It made it real to him knowing that his country and New York meant so much to him that he felt that this was part of his life, and he wasn't going to say, no, I'm not going to do it, let someone else do it.
And people said, well, aren't you afraid, you could die in the military? And I said, you know what? I said, there's a cost for everything. You talk about the cost of freedom, and I think that is the cost of freedom sometimes, is making the ultimate sacrifice.
The cost of freedom is very high, very often. A lot of good young men and women have paid with their lives for our cost of freedom, and that's happened over the years.
Because freedom is not free. It took the lives of many soldiers, of many servicewomen along the way, from the earliest in the Revolutionary War up to the present time. And without those sacrifices, we would not be here today.
The cost of freedom remains the same. It remains a willingness to sacrifice your own personal freedom for the greater good of the whole, and the continuation, making this a better world for our kids and our grandchildren.
He put that uniform on. He was just so proud to stand there and say, I'm a Marine Corps officer, I'm a Marine Corps lieutenant. And it wasn't about, again, him. It was just about what that uniform meant to him.
The core values of both the Navy and the Marine Corps are honor, courage, and commitment.
What honor means is is doing the right thing. It is doing the thing which you have to do, regardless of what the consequences to you are.
Captain Oliveira, he, just like sticking his arm out of the tank and it getting blown off. I mean, it had to be done. So it's doing right by your guys.
So I was able to pop up out of the tank a little bit and wave at him, and I got his attention. And I looked at him, and I kind of popped up a little bit higher, and I pointed down the road where the fire was coming from, and I told him, I started giving him the cut road sign saying, don't go down there, don't go down there. And about that time, that's when I felt a huge blow to my arm.
Courage is the same thing, doing the right thing no matter what the personal consequences are going to be.
They said the IED was on the north side of the road. So I had my first fire team and my second fire team on the south side of the road, and I was parallel with the first fire team on the north side of the road. So if we did stumble across his IED, I wouldn't watch one of my Marines get blown apart. Next thing I know, I came to in a cloud of dirt. I had no recollection of what happened, no idea what's going on. I start to try to crawl away, and as I'm crawling away, I look at my hand and see blood just spurting out. That's when I realized, damn, I'm hit. The damage from my leg, the piece of shrapnel blew right through, so it broke the tibia and the fibia, both of those bones in your shin. And my foot was just kind of moving back and forth, and Doc's trying to get my boot off, and I could feel the bones in there just ripping and tearing, and that was really painful.
Courage means having the ability to stand up to tough times and a hard situation, and to face it with honor.
Corporal Nicholson, who was the second fire team leader, he had stayed where he was, and he started saying, we're taking fire. They're shooting at us. So just like any other thing, I would shoot back. So, Doc's working on my leg, and Connor, my first fire team leader, he took over, so he has the radio, and he's shaking like a leaf, Connor, relax, calm down. Call it in, you're taking me straight to Camp Fallujah. You're not taking me back to the firm base.
Commitment binds the two together, and what that says is that I'm going to see my way through and to make things work and to get what I have to get done, the mission which I've been assigned done.
The desire of the men and women in the service today and the commitment and the sacrifice that they make is unbelievable.
Courage, honor, and commitment totally exemplifies your current U.S. soldier, even more so than in the past, because these two are volunteers. They are volunteering to go into harm's way. Don't get me wrong, my father was drafted in Korea and my uncle was drafted into the Second World War, and they served with distinction and courage. But when you volunteer for a cause that many don't believe in, you're talking about a level of courage, honor, and commitment that I think exceeds anything I've ever seen and makes this particular young veteran even more special.
There are members of my unit who have, during the last 7 years, or 8 years now, on this war against terrorism, they've been called up 5 to 6 years out of the 7 years for multiple tours, you know, away from their families, away from their jobs.
Men and women that we have involved in our services and military that go into areas of conflict many times do not come back the same.
The cost of freedom is borne by more than just the people doing the actual fighting.
There's a large sacrifice, there's a large price to pay from the family for the military member going on deployments.
I first arrived at Bethesda. My dad was there waiting for me. I went home the first time. I was in a wheelchair, couldn't walk. And he pushed me to walk again. He said, you know what, I'm 5'2". You know, you're 6'1". I'm not carrying you up the steps to use the bathroom. Do it yourself. You know, and he was being mean and he was being hard. He was trying to push me. And sure enough, that's how I learned how to walk again.
The ultimate sacrifice doesn't only affect the person who is sacrificing themselves, it affects everybody around them and their family as well.
They're not tears of sorrow. They're tears of hurt. Hurt. And if it sounds strange, it's hurt with pride, or pride with hurt. I'm so proud, but I hurt.
The playing ground is their training ground for an honest fight and the right fight. And they'll conduct themselves when they go to war the same way, with dignity, while at the same time doing their mission.
Certainly, the game was exciting because we beat Army, of course.
But actually being able to go up and meet these people, shake their hands, have a beer with them, hear their story, I just think that sat a lot deeper with me. And like we talked about, is that we became family.
This cost of freedom is a very small way that we all can participate and give back some to these honored guests that we have with us, and show them that we, as individuals, we as a group of classmates from the Naval Academy, and we as a country care for them and are extremely thankful.
It's not about watching a game, it's about, you know, the cost of freedom. We live in freedom, and we can't take for granted what that there is a cost. So they get together to understand that cost, to wrap their arms around the cost, and then to appreciate, openly appreciate those that have paid that price for that freedom.
We learn and we grow from this. We learn and grow from the experiences that are shared, and they typically embrace core values. We learn more about honor, courage, and commitment. We learn about leave no one behind. We learn about making a difference. We learn about the price of freedom, the cost of freedom. It is not free. And, you know, to read about these things is one thing, but to have it shared with people who have walked the walk, to us is exciting, and we come away being better husbands, being better fathers, being better people in our community, because we have a greater level of appreciation as a result of having been involved in some of these weekends. I just want our troops to know how much we appreciate them. Thank you, thank you, thank you.